Okay, so we are live on YouTube as well, and I will just share our link and we will continue. Ship, 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 ship. Tip, tip. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, beautiful people, for tuning into our live section today. And we've been doing this regularly. And today, we'll be looking at HPV, the talk you never got. So when we hear HPV, we think about a lot of things. So I think recently, the government of Ghana started rolling out the vaccine for teenagers, and also some adults have not really engaged, have not really had the HPV vaccine. It's so strange that some people don't even know what HPV is all about. So just the same way, I think we went for breast cancer awareness, and people have not heard. Okay, people think breast cancer, having breast cancer, is you have to be stigmatized. So today, our topic is HPV is not one virus. The shocking truth everyone needs to know. You need to know that HPV is not just one virus. Is a lot. Is different viruses together. And today, my name is Priscilla. I'm your trusted, no nonsense big sister slash investigator. So let me give you a story that I titled "The Villain Everyone Goes Wrong." So, what if I told you that almost every single sexually active person on this planet will at some point in their life encounter the same villain? And what if I also told you that we have been lied to, about what this villain even is when it comes to HPV? We've been told that, oh, it's one monster with one name, human papillomavirus, one monster with one name, HPV. That is what we've been told. That is what we know about the human papilloma virus, HPV. But there's a lot to it. There's more to HPV that we need to look at. And we've been told that when you have HPV, it's actually a sign of promiscuity. So, for instance, a friend of yours comes to you in your facility, or comes to you around your area where you are, where you live, where you work, and she tells you that, oh, ah, Prissy, I went for this HPV screening, and the results came out that I've got the HPV, the virus. So what do I do about it? And in your mind, you're there thinking, oh, no, 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 you're promiscuous. That is why you've been moving from Adam to Joseph to Pharaoh to whatever. So you've just been moving and moving and moving and moving, and that is why she's got the HPV. But no, HPV is not a sign of promiscuity. We've been told that lie. We've been told that myth that if one has got the HPV virus, the human papilloma virus, then is a sign of promiscuity. And we've been told that HPV is always a woman's problem. HPV is not a woman's problem at all. HPV is not a woman's problem. It is never a woman's problem. In fact, I call HPV a generalized problem, because the men are like a link to transferring the HPV. So it's not just a woman's problem. And this is not a health talk. This is a conversation. So if you've got questions, if you want to come on the live, you could come on the live. We could have a discussion, we could have questions. And HPV is not a woman's problem. And this is not just a health talk. I call it a dictative story because we are trying to create awareness. We are trying to be advocates within the public health sector. And I'll show you that by the end of this session, you would have the power to protect yourself and your loved ones and your girlfriends and your boyfriends and your woman friends or whatever in a way you never thought possible. So don't you dare look away. So I want you to share the live. I want you to invite someone whilst we go on our journey because this section is going to be for 30 minutes. So every Thursday we'll meet here on TikTok and YouTube for 30 minutes to talk about HPV, to talk about adolescent development, to talk about sex, to talk about promiscuity, to talk about a lot of things. So now, welcome, beautiful people. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Miss AJ. Welcome, Sweet Abba. Welcome, Kweku. Welcome, Fidelia. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Nana. Welcome, everybody, to this session. Welcome to the case. Let me give you a story. The family of viruses living rent free in humanity. That is what I've titled it to be. Now, welcome to this case. I just want you to picture it. The suspect is not a single entity, it's a massive one, a very big one. Now, he has a family with over 100 members, and that is what the HPV is. So, the HPV, we know the popular one to be the HPV 16 and 18, but there are a lot of HPVs. But science has been able to curtail it to be HPV 16 and 18 as the most dangerous ones. Now, it's massive. It has over 100 family members, and the World Health Organization calls it a category. So they've categorized HPV into different levels, different forms, different values. Now, let's make this simple. So let's say I have HPV. It's like a detective saying, have found a fingerprint in a murder case, or I found the fingerprint in a kidnapping situation. Okay, but whose? So you ask yourself, you found a fingerprint. Yes, you found a fingerprint. You found the fingerprint. In a murder case, who owns the fingerprint? Who does it belong to? So is it from a harmless cousin who just came to visit or who just left a mess in the family? Or is it from, a dangerous criminal who plans a heist and everything? So HPV has come into our environment, into our being, to make us believe that is one thing that needs to terrify us, and then people are ashamed because when people hear, "Oh, I've got HPV," they are they are afraid, they are ashamed, and everything leads to some fundamental misunderstanding. And for instance, when you tell your boyfriend or your husband or your spouse that you're in a relationship with, that you're supposed to love, to hold, and to cherish. Oh, sweetheart, I went for the HPV screening and I've got the HPV. I tested positive for the virus. What did they say to you? Ah, it's because you don't stay one place. You're always moving to and fro the earth. So you move from A, you move from B, you move from C, you move from D. So you're just moving. So they relate HPV to sex. So they relate HPV to the number of sexual partners you have. And even with that, even you're a virgin and you decide to have sex today, there's a probability that you might have the virus. And the body has a way of cleaning the virus, cleansing the virus away. So your immune system has a way of making the virus go away. So we need to change that mindset. We need to change that perspective that, man, HPV is just a woman's thing, is everybody's problem. So let me take you through one of the cases I handled. A 19-year-old teenager. So for the sake of this, I'll just not say her name, but I'll just give the story. So this teenager is very smart. She's so health conscious. She's she had sex for the first time, and then later she said, oh, okay, I've had sex, I've done the different positions at um 18, I've done whatever I need to do at 18. So she said to herself, okay, someone has talked about the pap smear, the HPV in high school, and she said, okay, let me go and get the first pap smear screening for herself. And she went. And a week later, they called her and said, oh, sweetheart, your results are in, you're HPV positive. So once she heard that she's HPV positive, she started blaming herself. Oh, I wouldn't have had sex. Oh, what was I thinking? Oh, this is not supposed to be. Oh, but it has already happened. So she goes, when you have a condition, or when you go to the hospital and then the doctor says, oh, this is your diagnosis, or this is what is wrong with you, our first thoughts, or anything we think about, is Google. We go to Google, we Google everything. We Google, okay, what is your symptoms? I'm having a headache. Does it mean I have cancer? I'm having this. Does it mean I'm overweight? Does it mean I'm losing? So we Google a lot of things. And the word cancer, when she did that, the word cancer flashed everywhere. So she saw cancer, 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 cancer everywhere. So she felt isolated. She felt her whole world is crashing down. So she was so terrified to tell her mom. Remember the first time you had sex? Were you so terrified to tell anybody? She was so terrified to tell her mom. The shame that, oh, she had sex and now she's got the HPV, the virus. So what is she going to do? So the shame and everything. But here's the twist in the story that happened. So the full laboratory report, the results came back, and it wasn't the criminal, it was actually a low risk type. So there was really nothing to worry about. So this kind might actually cause warts, genital warts. But in some situations, it's almost never linked to cancer. So all that panic the child went through, the teenager went through, all that shame the teenager went through, it was based on incomplete sentence. So she was afraid, she was thinking, oh, okay, this is a life sentence, this is a crime that has gone wrong. But let's ask ourselves. So if you've got questions, you could put them in the comment section and then we could have a conversation. So, do you think one, because you tasted or someone tested for HPV, does that mean the person is promiscuous? I personally do not think that because someone tested for HPV and tested positive for HPV means that the person is promiscuous. Because let's go through this case study. So a woman in her 40s, she's been single all her life. She doesn't know what to do. She's just been there. She's been single. And she said to go on dating apps. Like we have a lot of dating apps right now. We have Tinder, we have a lot. We even have the dating apps where you make money off it. So you just take a picture, a video of your feet, of your fingers, of your face. Some people that have some unnecessary fetish could buy it from you, and there are dating apps where you could chat with matured people. So she said to herself that she's in her 40s. Yeah, what was the worst that could happen? She's in her 40s, and she decided to look at the dating app to see if everything is okay, if she could just mingle and have fun with people and everything, because she's divorced at 40 and she's trying to re-enter the dating world. So she meets someone new, she does everything right, she gets a checkup, he gets a checkup, and boom, she went to do her pap smear screening and it was HPV positive. So her first thought was, I've only had one partner in years after my divorce. So what's happening? So what's the problem? Why am I testing positive for HPV? So she started asking herself, as you can ask yourself on this life, start asking herself, what does this say about my partner? The word promiscuous echoes in her mind. Now, the second biggest lie about HPV is promiscuity. So everybody thinks, oh, you're being promiscuous when you test positive. So that becomes a scorecard that becomes a scorecard for your sexual history. So whenever you present that and then you show it to people and you tell them, oh, okay, oh, my partner or my boyfriend or my husband, I'm positive, that becomes a scorecard. They begin to doubt your you begin to doubt yourself, you begin to ask questions. Some people even ask you, oh, are you sure you're a Christian? Why would you have the virus? You've been sleeping around. But no. So the thing is, after that, the truth, what the medical community knows is that HPV is actually the common code of sexual intimacy. So HPV is actually common. So you could, if you decide to engage in whatever sex, oral sex is a skin to skin infection. So you could actually get the HPV the very first time you are ever intimate with someone. So you could get the HPV the very first time you become intimate with someone. So you get the virus. Okay. Now, it's not about a number, it's about exposure. Framing it as promiscuity, framing HPV because, oh, you think that you have the virus and then that means that you are promiscuous, that means that, oh, you don't stay one place, you don't know how to keep yourself, you're not Christ-like. No, it's not a weapon of mass shame that stops smart people from getting the care they need. And this woman's story is not about her character, it's about her biology. Okay, she was exposed. So let's talk about the men. So you engage in different sex positions, you engage in different maneuvering and tumbling and everything. And you think you're safe because the society, or what you know as a myth, is that HPV is just a woman's problem, or HPV is for the women because they are promiscuous. No. Now, men are not just bystanders. They are the silent carrier. They are actually the silent carrier. They carry the virus like they are the main transmitting agent. So they contract it and transmit the HPV, often with zero symptoms. So they don't even know they are carrying the virus. They don't even know, they are not aware, they don't know what's going on. They're just there. So they carry it, then they are the missing piece in this puzzle. So you have gone for the screening, you have gone for the testing, you've done everything you think you need to do for that test. Not actually a permanent resident for some people, especially against the HIV 16 and the HPV 18 that causes majority of the cancers. So we have teenagers right So we have teenagers right now that are engaging in different things. Some are engaging in drugs, some are engaging in a lot of things. And just where we find ourselves currently, people don't really listen to advice, people don't really take note of things. Everyone just wants to explore. And the thing is, if you're faithful to one partner, how sure are you that that partner is faithful to you? In a society where you live, where you can't even trust the person you're in love with. So if you protect yourself from the virus, you're trying to protect the teenagers as well, who do not want to listen, who wants to explore and have whatever they want to do. They want to go into different substance abuse, they want to do the orgy parties, they want to do a lot of things. So, how do you protect them against the virus? How do you make them understand that, okay, it can be in your body could clear it within 1 or 2 years if your immune system is strong. So, what if your immune system is not strong enough to clear the virus within 1 to 2 years? And then you see that when I talk to a lot of people, they'll say, oh, HPV is not going to get to them. They are fine. They are these. And I said to myself, people in their 30s are dying from cervical cancer. You think if they knew better, they wouldn't really do something about it? They would have done something about it. So you don't sit down and say, oh, HPV is this. And from the conversations I've had with people, The difficult thing is the vaccine is actually expensive. The vaccine is expensive. The test is expensive. And the testing process, some people find it difficult because it's painful. So what do we do about it? What do we do in such situations? What do we do? Because we are here as advocates, we are here talking about beyond the myths. So I've made you to understand that HPV is not a woman's problem alone. It's everybody combined. So the man, the woman, the boy, the girl, everybody. HPV is everybody's problem. So if you decide to be promiscuous and you move round to and fro the earth, because if you see Abna has got big ass, you see Jessica has got big boobs, you see this one has got small ass, small boobs. So you want to taste the waters and see, okay, I'll taste this one, I'll taste this one, I'll taste this one. So you just want to keep on tasting and tasting and tasting and tasting everything, and you become a silent carrier. So you just be carrying the HPV, carrying the HPV. You move to Abna, you give Abna HPV. You move to Jessica, you give Jessica HPV. You move to Eva. You help us so that we'll be able to reduce deaths related from HPV that are related to cervical cancer. The Western world is going global. They are trying to make sure the teenage girls and teenage boys, the teenage girls and teenage boys are getting the vaccine. And thank to the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health have rolled out the HPV vaccine. But what of the adults that are yet to get the vaccine? And the vaccine is so expensive. If we could also subsidize that vaccine for them. So when you get your result, when you go to the lab, you go to the hospital and you get your result, there's one thing I want you to do for me. Never accept the HPV positive as a full answer. So when you go there and they do the screening and they tell you, oh, some people will tell you, okay, we did this as positive. Come back in 6 months, let's check again. And when you go back, sometimes there is nothing there. So if you hear someone say HPV is equals to promiscuity, I want you to shut it down with science, because it's a virus. It's not a judgment. It's not a death sentence. So you have to shut it down and make sure that, okay, currently from for teenagers 9 to 14 can go for the vaccine, and then for adults you have to get tested first for the virus. So from 20 to 30 to 35 you could go get tested for the virus. If you're negative, then you could get the vaccine. Okay, thank you, Miss AJ, for that question. So if you have I hope I've been able to answer your question, Miss AJ. So, if you have teenage girls, even as the government is rolling out the vaccine for free, please make sure they get the vaccine. Okay. And so, we've come to the end of today's live. So I promised you it's 30 minutes and 30 minutes on the dot. So, next week, we'll be looking at adolescents. Why do we have a high rate of teenage pregnancy right now? Why do we have a high level of teenage pregnancy right now in the teenagers? We hear people, adolescents are saying, oh, auntie, oh, uncle, this man is sleeping with me because he wants to get me always sad and ultra. This uncle is sleeping with me. They're engaging in different things that you can't even mention, that you can't even talk about. So we are going to next week we are going to dissect the rate of teenage pregnancy, especially in the African setting. And what can we do to help these teenagers? What can we do to make sure that, okay, even they decide to engage in whatever they want to engage in, because you could only talk and you could only advise, they will still go behind you to do whatever they want to do. So we are going to look at HPV, we are going to look at the teenage pregnancy and substance abuse, because a lot of us now are doing drugs. It's not, when you hear drugs, you think, oh, it's cocaine, oh, it's Indian hemp. No, 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 no. You can't be addicted to paracetamol, you can't be addicted to ibuprofen, you can be addicted to a lot of things, you could abuse the virus. But what I want you to take home today is that you've been armed with the intelligence most people don't have. So if you hear someone say HPV is equals promiscuity. Shut it down. Like, don't even let that conversation fly. Don't even argue with the person. Just shut it down and tell them it's a virus, it's not a judgment. And then if you have cousins, if you have nephews, if you have nieces, make sure they get the vaccine. Educate people. Because recently, when the government was rolling out the vaccine, some people called me and said, "Oh, this vaccine that they're giving people, I hope when my child gets to," thank you so much, sweet Abba. "I hope when my child gets to at certain age, and the child is not going to be promiscuous," or some women, which I think the fear is valid. Their fear is, "Oh, if I give my child this vaccine, or if I let my daughter take this vaccine, will she be able to get pregnant when she gets married, or when she decides to get married?" So this is the advocacy we need to start giving to people. So if you're under 45 years old and you've not been vaccinated, so you need to have a conversation with your doctor. You need to go for the pap smear screening. You need to get yourself tested to know that you're fine, so you could get the virus. So your body is a superhero. I want you to understand that your body is a superhero. You need to take care of your body, and you need to vaccinate yourself. So HPV is a category. So let's see it. So for some years, we've had HPV, we've had HPV, we've had HPV. So this topic has been ruled out by fear and shame. So now you have the information. So you now have both. So you have the information, you have the clarity. So you know that HPV is a category, it's not a single sentence. So you know it's about biology, not morality. You know it's a human issue. I want you to understand that. You know it's a human issue, it's not a woman's issue. So it's a human issue, not a woman's issue. And you know, so when you take the vaccine, some people is have some side effects. You could feel sore around your arm where the vaccine is being given. Some people have headaches, some people have dizziness, just the slight symptoms some people do have when they take the HPV vaccine. When they take all the or sweet ABBA on the link, you just use your picture and you could download it and put it on your social media pages, so we could create awareness to tell people that yes, we know what HPV is, we know it causes cancer, but what of me that can't afford the vaccine, because the vaccine is quite expensive? So what of me that can't afford the vaccine? What of me that can't even afford the test? So that is the agenda I'm pushing currently, to ensure that we are able to get the HPV vaccine at a subsidized rate, and we are able to get the screening at a subsidized rate as well. No, so once you get the vaccine, some people, like the Gardasil 9, when I had mine, I had it twice, so 3 shots. So once you get the vaccine, you've gotten it. So you don't have to go yearly to renew it. Once you get it for life. So that is it. You get the vaccine, you get it, you're done. But is even if you get the vaccine, is also important. The healthcare professional will tell you, if you go today and you're negative for the virus, you should also go um every 3 years to ensure that, okay, I've done this test today and I'm negative, so they will advise you come back after 3 years to ensure that your body is fine, everything is fine. So after 3 years, because you're a woman between 20 to 35 or 45, they would ensure that after 3 years you get the testing done. Okay. Thank you so much, sweet Abba, for your words of encouragement. Thank you, everybody. And I love you all. Thank you for coming to my live section. I would see you next week. And please do not forget to join our campaign. We need to make sure every woman gets the HPV vaccine, even if it's going to be at a subsidized rate. We need to make sure. Yes, so you get tested roughly every 3 years. So every 3 years, you need to get tested. Every 3 years, you need to get tested, whether you're sexually active or not. So far as you're no longer a virgin, every 3 years, you need to get tested. And if you're a virgin, and once you decide to this virgin you need to get tested a week after that. Okay, thank you so much. Please don't forget, I keep emphasizing, don't forget to join our advocacy campaign. The world must hear our voice. We need to make sure that market woman that doesn't know anything about the virus, we need to make sure she gets tested and she gets the vaccine. She's able to afford the vaccine. She's able to get the testing she needs. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining. I would see you again next week. Bye bye. Bye. Okay, follow back.